Hey YouTube, Joyboy here. So, today I want to talk about Big News Morgan's Big Bird himself, and the fact that he controls the reins to the future of Big Mom in the story, in my opinion. And for sure, something huge is going to happen in regards to Morgans. But before we get into the topic of this video, I do again want to let you guys know about my Discord. If you don't know what Discord is, go ahead and check it out. It's really cool, link in the description. But anyway guys, to the theory at hand. There's something that I think that is very easy to overlook, but I think is of a great importance, which is that as of right now within the story, Big Mom is unaware that the Tamate Bako box exploded and destroyed her castle. She's unaware that the box contained explosive in the first place, and there is no obvious setup for her to obtain this information because all of the evidence has been destroyed. But this isn't exactly right, because unfortunately or fortunately, the fact that the box exploded and contained explosives and destroyed the castle was all witnessed by Big News Morgans, the very same news aficionado who could spread this information to the rest of the world, and even could send this information directly to Big Mom herself. Guys, I think that this is important, and I think this almost guarantees that Morgans will have some role in the future of the story. But the reason that I'm sold as to its importance is the way that Oda decided to convey or allow Morgans to obtain this information. It was completely unnecessary. This is very similar to my speculations surrounding Bobbin, which is that Oda contrived the scenario in which Morgans overheard Stussy and Dufeld talking about the box, where it didn't have to happen that way. Oda could have very easily written it so that Morgans would have never been there, would have never observed what took place. But he specifically inserted Morgans into the story so that he would find this information, and I think the only reason that he would have done this is the potential that Morgans could basically make this big news. And so, for the longest time, people have speculated that Big Mom's rage might turn towards Fishman Island, and this all centered around the box exploding and Big Mom finding out about it. Morgans potentially spreading this information again makes this a viable topic of discussion. But I really want to make my opinion known about Big Mom specifically destroying Fishman Island, which is not something that I see happening. And this is for several reasons, but firstly, there is a prophecy from Madame Charlie of Fishman Island which suggested that Monkey D. Luffy would be the one to destroy Fishman Island, not Big Mom. And so some people try and reason this in my opinion, very absurd ways, but things along the lines of, well, Big Mom will be the one to destroy Fishman Island, but Luffy is technically responsible because he gave the box, the exploding box, to Big Mom, which set her on a path to destroy Fishman Island. You could even say that by eating the candy from Fishman Island, that again, this all centers around Monkey D. Luffy, so even if he's not the one to personally destroy it, Big Mom is, he's in some way responsible for it, and I just cannot agree with this logic. I'm not saying that it can't be the case, but it's just, that to me is illogical, right? Because who put the explosions in the box? Well, the people of Fishman Island did. Who gave the box to Luffy in the first place? The people of Fishman Island. Who gave Luffy the remaining sweets from Fishman Island? The people of Fishman Island did. Who destroyed the candy factory? Hody Jones did. All of this is not Luffy's fault. So for Madame Charlie's prophecy to blame Luffy because of all of this is just ridiculous to me. I think to phrase it in any other way than Luffy is actually personally responsible for the destruction of Fishman Island would be a crime. So with this being said, and Big Mom turns her anger towards Fishman Island for finding out that the box exploded, and then, destroying that, I don't think that makes sense to me, as Luffy being responsible. I don't think that if Luffy and Big Mom end up having an encounter in Fishman Island, and Fishman Island is destroyed in the process, that this would be Luffy's fault. Again, this would be Big Mom and Luffy, so I feel like Charlie's prediction would have been that there would have been some sort of major fight between Luffy and Big Mom in Fishman Island, leading to its destruction. And this ties well with several other things that I believe, which is that I don't believe at this part in the story, the Strats can start traveling backwards. I think from this point, until they reach Raftel, it will be a continuous journey forward. And then they will be brought back to Fishman Island after they have essentially found the One Piece. Which at this point in the story won't be interpreted as traveling backwards, it will be a continuation of the journey forwards, as after Raftel, the next place that they would need to go is in fact forwards towards MavisHdz. But even despite what I've said here, I don't think that Big Mom would necessarily be angry at Fishman Island for the box exploding, because Fishman Island did not give her this box. This box was given to her by Monkey D. Luffy, right? And so we don't know exactly how she will take this information, but from my perspective, if I had received an exploding box, I wouldn't blame whoever put the explosive in the box, I would blame whoever gave me the box, and in this case again, Luffy. Remember that Luffy gave this to her as reparations for eating her candy. So long story short, guys, I don't think that Morgan spreading the news of the box exploding will make Big Mom turn her attention towards Fishman Island, or even if it does do that, I don't think that Big Mom will end up in Fishman Island. I think that this news being revealed to her would only make her even more mad at Luffy. But the timing here is very, very important and interesting. At this phase in the story, making Big Mom even angrier at Luffy I don't think serves any purpose. She is mad enough as is. To give her even more reason to waste time giving her even more reason I think is unnecessary. But there is one way in which this would make a lot of sense. And this way is, as following all of my speculations in Holecake Island, these Straw Hats end up leaving Holecake Island with permission from Big Mom and the Big Mom Pirates. Essentially, by the end of Holecake Island, the relationship between the Big Mom Pirates and the Straw Hat Pirates will be changed. Now, if you're here and you don't know what I'm talking about, essentially, I speculate that Sanji and Pudding will end up making the cake for the Big Mom Pirates, for Big Mom herself. The cake might be so delicious that Big Mom's opinion of Sanji changes drastically. By the act of them making this cake and saving everyone on Holecake Island, all the Big Mom Pirates from Big Mom herself, might make the Big Mom Pirates respect them. It's also possible that Pudding could manipulate Big Mom's memories so that she doesn't remember the awful things that the Straw Hats have done to her. And lastly, we know that Big Mom is sick and Chopper is a doctor, and Big Mom's sickness is very reminiscent of the same condition that the children of Punk Hazard suffered from, which is related to addiction, and so it's possible that Chopper is able to provide insight or even provide a cure for Big Mom herself, curing her sickness, which the Big Mom Pirates would be extremely appreciative of. And so if all of this comes to pass and the relationship between the Big Mom Pirates and the Straw Hats change so as the Straw Hats can leave Holecake Island, essentially get a head start on the Big Mom Pirates without having to fight them. And the way, again, would be Morgan's, giving Big Mom the news that all along Luffy sent her an exploding box that not only destroyed her castle, but also destroyed the treasure inside. This is also without saying that Morgan's recollection of the events that took place there might end up being different from Big Mom's own if Pudding alters her memories. This could also possibly couple with the fact that Diesel knows that the Straw Hats stole a copy of Big Mom's poneglyph, something that again Big Mom could inevitably find out about. This is just another example of a contrived way in which Oda allowed for another character to discover what these Straw Hats have done against Big Mom. And it's worth pointing out that Big Mom is set up to be a very simple-minded person, and I think she's very easy to switch from happiness and anger. We've seen this at multiple times in Holecake Island. So I think all the events that could happen at the end of this arc might make Big Mom fond of the Straw Hats, and by learning these two bits of information, or one or the other, could completely change her perspective and make her want to take them on again. But I think the key of all of this, if it ends up going down, is that it will take some time for Morgans to deliver this news to the world. By that point in time, these Straw Hats might already be engaged with Kaido in Wano. This could suggest that Big Mom will not participate directly in Wano, but will rather reappear in the story in Elbaf, which is suggested to be the arc after Wano. I had a long Twitter DM with Dritz the Theorist, and he essentially convinced me of the possibility of this occurring, and this is something that I know that Sawyer 7 Mage has been arguing for the last month or so. But guys, I really need to remind you that I only find this significant in the case that the Straw Hats and the Big Mom Pirates relationship do change, because if you ignore Fishman Island and that possibility, and if you, like I, have reasoned that that isn't likely to occur, then there is no reason to make Big Mom angry. It doesn't serve any direct purpose. She is already angry enough to chase the Straw Hats to the end of the world in order to exterminate them from existence. So I think the only way it makes sense is if she doesn't have those feelings anymore, and then her feelings change. But I also think that this idea works well with all of the various little clues that Big Mom might end up being reintroduced into the story in Elbaf, because she has a lot of unfinished history there. And of course, we've gotten all this set up with Mother Carmel and the fact that Big Mom actually ate her. And so something like this could be brought up again in Elbaf and skipped over in Holecake Island. In fact, if Big Mom reappears in Elbaf, then it's possible that many of my speculations might have to wait until Big Mom reappears in the story. All that I really want you to take away from this is that the fact that Morgans knows of what has actually occurred and is part of the news is, to me, going to be an extremely important detail, however Oda decides to handle it. Now, I don't want to give you guys any impression of confidence here, because I don't really have any. I'm making this video mainly for discussion. Basically, this seems important to me, and this seems like the best way to rationalize it right now to me. There are several points to any way that I can potentially rationalize this bit of information that just straight up don't make sense, or I don't know how we can get there. I don't know how it would be possible for us to get there. And this is without mentioning that there are many ways that you can potentially look at this information and interpret it, and ignoring that Oda will always find another way that you didn't consider and pick that. Think about it like this: in making this particular speculation, I've already made one assumption at the very base of the argument that is not guaranteed to be true, and that has to do with Morgans telling the truth in the news. But we've gotten a lot of implications that Morgans oftentimes does not tell the truth. Basically, by Morgans telling the truth, then that would create a conflict between the Strats and the Big Mom Pirates. But in this situation, Morgans has no horse in this race. He would not care about setting Big Mom on Luffy. So if there is any other motivation, anything else in play, he might choose to lie about what happened in a way which changes this entire narrative. So here's, I think, a good example. In almost every situation involving the world government and the news, they claim credit for what Luffy does. So it's possible in this case, having messed up Mama's tea party, destroyed Holecake Island, and perhaps even became close to taking down the Big Mom Pirates, so perhaps the world government and Stussy manipulate Morgans in order to give this credit to themselves, which could lead to Big Mom directing her anger at them. I'm not certain if I can fully rationalize this in every potential problem that might arise, but the main premise of the Morgans essentially lying in the news makes sense to me. It's also worth pointing out that there are still members of the underworld in Holecake Island that are doing God knows what at this particular time. What is Morgans and Stussy doing? It's possible that Oda set up Morgans obtaining this information so that it would come back into play later in Holecake Island, so that the Strats end up stopping Morgans. It's possible that Pudding becomes aware of what they know and they learn themselves what exactly happened, and Pudding, now essentially being a friend of the Strats, manipulates Morgan's memories. And I suppose in this case she would also have to manipulate the memories of Stussy. Hell guys, it's even possible that Big Mom having a different recollection of events than Big News Morgans would make it so that she does not believe what it is that he reports, and maybe even gets angry at him himself. Or maybe even the world government twists the news in such a way to implicate Fishman Island as having to try to destabilize the New World by taking down Big Mom, and thus the world government will then take action against Fishman Island. And this could tie in with the Reverie, the fact that the world government really has no interest in preserving the Fishman population, and as well the identity of Poseidon might be revealed to the world through Caribou, and all of this might lead the world government to want to again exterminate Fishman Island. So this could very well tie into the end of this story and the final battle versus the world government. And I just want to point this out as well, which is even if Big Mom reappears in Elbaf as an enemy, my thoughts on Big Mom have not changed all that much. If you guys can't tell, I am conflicted, but I don't think that takes away from the purpose of this video, sharing information, which I think may be important, and depending on how you interpret it, could change the way that you may think about how this arc may go down. But with this being shared, I do want to know what your thoughts are, how perhaps you make sense of this information, how it may potentially lead back into the story or be resolved in some way. just let me know. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video, subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content. And as always guys, have a wonderful day.